Hello, baseball friends. It's Tom. We're going to talk about what went down across the Twins system this weekend. Here are the results and records. Wichita snapped their losing streak by winning 14-0 on Friday, but then could not pick up a win over the weekend, unfortunately. The Kernels, that game on Saturday was insane. They won 23-15. They had led 23-5 at one point, I think. So kind of a crazy comeback attempt, but still didn't come anywhere close. But combined between the two teams in that one, 48 total hits. That is tying a Midwest League record. Cedar Rapids with the 23 runs on 30 hits. Those were both franchise records. The Kernels only drew one walk in that game and somehow scored 23 runs. There were no hit by pitches. There was only one stolen base. Lansing, their opponent, only committed 2 errors. So that's what I would assume. If I see a 23 going up, I'm thinking, a pitcher or two just didn't have any command and they walked a bunch of guys or hit a bunch of batters, or the defense was just garbage and they committed a handful of errors. No, it was almost all just hits falling in that game. Crazy game. You see the Saints have won all 3 of their games this weekend. They are very hot. They're on a 5-game win streak. Unfortunately, they are still 3.5 games back in the International League West, so they don't look like they're going to clinch a playoff spot in the first half here. And then the Mighty Muscles, bring up the win-loss records here. So the Saints and the Muscles are the only 2 teams with winning records right now. The Muscles were eliminated from first half playoff race contention. The Phillies affiliate in the Florida State League is 15 games over 500. So they're on, if it was a 162-game season, they're on a 100-win pace. The Muscles are not going to be able to lock up a postseason spot for the first half. Anyway, news and notes. Walker Jenkins joined Fort Myers on a rehab assignment. He'd been out since May 3rd, so good to see him back. But Kyler Fedko, that's the big one. Kyler Fedko is going to be promoted up to the Twins. Orlando Arcia is being DFA'd to make room for him on the 40-man roster. The 3-headed shortstop situation since Lewis went down and Lee moved to third with Tristan Gray and Ryan Kreidler and Orlando Arcia. There really wasn't any need for that to continue. You don't need that many guys for the kind of the same job. So Arcia is the odd man out there. Fedko, I think a lot of people were surprised it wasn't Kaelen Culpepper, but Kaelen Culpepper had a minor injury on Saturday, and it's easy to wonder if this would have been him had he not been down for a couple days. Worth noting, though, that Culpepper didn't get added to the injured list. And in the minor leagues, it's only a 7-day injured list. So really, if you have kind of anything of any severity, you're probably going to go on the injured list in the minor leagues. It's only a 7-day IL. But Culpepper wasn't hurt badly enough for that to be required. So, maybe this was just Kyler Fedko's time. It's tough to say now. But might this have been even Hendry Mendez? He is on the 7-day IL. This was just like a really nice window for Fedko to get in here, and well-deserved. And he might stick around. If they weren't thinking about him long-term being in the mix, they wouldn't have made this move because they had to add him to the 40-man, and they had to DFA Orlando Arcia. So they hurt their depth on the infield to make this happen. So, if they were just thinking they needed a guy for a cup of coffee like they did with Gabriel Gonzalez earlier, worth mentioning, Gonzalez is nursing an injury as well, which we'll kind of talk about in a sec. So they made the move. They cleared space for Fedko. Congratulations to him, of course. Congratulations to the scouting team that, advocated for drafting him in the 12th round. A former 12th round pick is getting up. In 100 games with the Saints, Fedko has a 278 on average, a 364 on base, a 532 slugging. That's an 896 OPS with a 22.1 K percentage and 11 walk percentage. Right-handed hitting outfielder. 26 years old. 12th rounder out of UConn in 2021. Kind of fell off the map totally. I mean, as a 12th round pick, he was never really on the map all that much, Kyler Fedko. But he only played 59 games in 2023 and then 77 in 2024. Didn't exactly light it up in those seasons either. So had totally fallen off the map prior to having a monster breakout year last season. He hasn't always had really strong splits, but he has a 1,200 OPS against left-handed pitching this year, does Kyler Fedko, a right-handed hitter. So he slots in well with a lot of the other roster needs on the Twins. That's another thing that's kind of nicely timed for him. The Twins are middle of the road against left-handed pitchers overall, actually. It's kind of surprising. But they rank 25th in slugging percentage against left-handed pitching. So, and Fedko is a guy who, he's not really a high batting average guy, decent on-base guy, but more of a guy, kind of weird to say after his earlier career, but has turned himself into a guy who slugs, hits a lot of home runs. And on the flip side, the Twins are 10th in slugging against right-handed pitching. So they need some power against left-handed pitching. Fedko, so again, that's one of his main features is he's a right-handed hitter, plays all three outfield positions, has played a little bit of first base. Not sure they're going to give him some looks there. Of course, Royce Lewis playing there a lot now. I think they'd like to get him experience there. But Fedko can play center field. He's been primarily playing center field since Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez went down. Outman had been the primary backup center fielder to Buxton. He's now gone. Kreidler has 9 starts in center, but with Arcia getting DFA'd, Kreidler's more in that shortstop picture, even more so than before. Clemens has 5 starts in center field, which is crazy. I would much rather take Kyler Fedko over Cody Clemens in center. Austin Martin also has 4 starts in center. I also think, just from an experience standpoint, mostly, Fedko, I would give him the leg up there. So probably the backup center fielder with some Kreidler in the mix as well. I do think Ryan Kreidler is a better backup center fielder than Fedko is, but again, he has some other spots he's helping cover as well. But we'll see with Fedko. I think he's going to eventually. Culpepper is going to be up. We know that is going to happen eventually. That's why RC is gone. And I think actually maybe Fedko sticks around when that happens, and it's Austin Martin who goes down, unfortunately. I like Austin Martin. But since May 1st, he has a 545 OPS and a 54 WRC+. So Austin Martin, since a really good April, has been quite bad. So I think that's kind of what is maybe happening here is Fedko's taking Martin's spot eventually. But keep in mind, Alan Rodin's on the comeback trail. He'll factor in. He's already on the 40-man roster. Walker Jenkins is on the comeback trail as well. He's going to have a long runway in AAA to kind of position himself to come up, but that's probably a later in the year thing. But anyway, Kyler Fedko, congrats. Really excited to see him make his debut. But a lot of injuries, a lot of Kyler Fedko being promoted, a lot of stuff has created a lot of issues in St. Paul. Graham Brown was promoted from Fort Myers to St. Paul. He has 15 total pro affiliated games, I should say. Some of these guys have played indie ball, so when I say pro games, I'm talking about affiliated games. None above single A. Harry Genth was promoted from Cedar Rapids to St. Paul. He has 54 total pro affiliated games, 2 in AAA at the time of his promotion. And Henry Kuziak has been with St. Paul for about a week. And prior to that, he had 19 total pro games and 1 in AAA. So these are kind of just roving organizational depth soldiers that are being called upon when teams just need an extra guy for a little bit. But kind of fun opportunities for those guys. Anyway. Moving on to the 3 stars of Friday. Corey Lewis for Wichita. He throws 4 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts and most notably one walk. He's got a 14 walk percentage this year, so he's really got to get that back on track before he kind of recoups any value. 2023 Twins Minor League Pitcher of the Year, Corey Lewis. Second star, Kaelen Culpepper. 3 for 4 with a double, a triple, a walk, and a stolen base, so it really filled up the stat sheet in that one on Friday. Mentioned that he did exit Saturday's game with a glute injury in his day-to-day. So again, wasn't placed on the IL, expected to miss less than 7 days/games, so it impacted his potential to be a call-up over the weekend/this week, but shouldn't be out long. And again, I think it's only a matter of time before he's up with the Twins. But the first star, Kalai Rosario for Wichita. Again, when this guy's hot, he is hot. And since returning from the injured list for Wichita, 327 average, a 514 on base, and a 558 slugging. He has 18 walks and 17 strikeouts in those 16 games. So We think of Rosario as a power guy, has a lot of strikeouts. He's actually getting on base like crazy and had a 5-hit game with a double, a homer, and a stolen base. 3 runs and 4 RBI. So a massive game for him, helping the Wind Surge break out of that losing streak. With St. Paul kind of shorthanded, it's only temporary, of course, but it's easy to wonder if he's finally going to get up to AAA. He's played 244 games for Wichita now. My goodness. Honorable mentions, not going to read through all of these guys, but do want to call out Justin Mitrovic. Unfortunately, he got the ball taken out of his hand due to weather. That game was postponed. It was Thursday's game, continued on Friday, but he was the guy on the mound at the time where it stopped on Thursday. Still, 4 1/3 innings, 1 run, 4 strikeouts. He has a 1.08 ERA and 31 strikeouts in 25 innings this year, his first full season. So Justin Mitrovic keeping it rolling. 3 stars of Saturday. Walker Jenkins, mentioned he's on a comeback trail. He's on a rehab assignment with Fort Myers. Went 4 for 5 with a double and a homer. One of his hardest hit ball was 109.7, and then he also had one at 105. So 2 balls in excess hit of 105 exit velo. So good sign for Jenkins' first game back. Second star, Aaron Rozek of St. Paul. Again, a team that's really been in need of help. He delivers 6 innings of 1-run ball and 5 strikeouts for a guy who, 30-year-old crafty lefty, who topped out at 88.3 in this outing. Burnsville native, Minnesota State Mankato product. So a Minnesota guy. He also spent 3 years in indie ball. He's been all over the place, but he was taken by the Mets in the Rule 5 draft, the minor league portion of the Rule 5 draft this offseason, but they released him, and he signed back on with the Twins. And then first star of the day, Danny De Andrade. It's been a rough go for him, but he is turning things around so far this month, and largely because of this big game in that crazy Cedar Rapids game. 4 for 6, 2 doubles, and 2 home runs. So huge, massive 4 extra base hits in the same game for Danny De Andrade. And again, he has a 797 OPS in June. So kind of obviously this one game in this small sample plays a huge role in that, but it'd be nice to see him get back on track here. Honorable mentions for Saturday. Again, not going to mention all of these, but Merrick Houston, Jay Thomason, and Yasser Mercedes also had huge games for Cedar Rapids. This was just a lot of good performances on Saturday, so kind of tough to narrow things down. But do want to call out Yasser Mercedes. He's got a 790 OPS in 25 games with Cedar Rapids so far. So not quite as hot as he was with Fort Myers to start the season, but still keeping it rolling. And then let's keep it rolling ourselves. Moving on to the 3 stars of Sunday. And this was some unheralded names, especially considering their offense. Noah Cardenas, a very good defensive catcher. A good on-base guy, too, but does not hit for much power. He went 3 for 5 with a homer. Was also hit by a pitch for the Saints on Sunday. His home run was 103.9. Was the exit velo off the bat. So he does have some power. He just doesn't get to it too often. Second star, Graham Brown, mentioned that he was a surprise kind of fill-in cameo call-up cup of coffee with the Saints guy. This was his AAA debut for Graham Brown, and he goes 3 for 3 with a homer, a walk, and a stolen base. So the Saints won that game, playing a bunch of former indie ball guys or non-drafted free agent guys in AAA. A very unfamiliar-looking Saints lineup. But Graham Brown stepped up in that one. And the first star, Pancho Ruiz, another unheralded guy, signed as an undrafted free agent himself in 2023 after playing for San Diego State. But he had a big game for Wichita, 3 for 4, double, homer, walk, even the stolen base. This guy was catching his usual spot in the field. He was the DH in that game. So Pancho Ruiz, number 1. And then here are the honorable mentions from Sunday. CJ Culpepper, I want to call out, he pitched 2 perfect innings with 4 strikeouts. In 21 innings over 12 outings with the Saints, he has a 3.43 ERA and 22 strikeouts. So I would say more like getting acclimated to AAA, getting acclimated to pitching out of the bullpen, and looking good in that respect. Probably not necessarily in the conversation for a call-up yet, but it's with the state of the Twins bullpen, It's not that difficult to imagine C.J. Culpepper also, in addition to Kaelen Culpepper, potentially getting a call-up for his Major League debut at some point. But you may have mentioned on the results on Sunday, both Cedar Rapids and Fort Myers had their games canceled. So, not a whole lot of action going on Sunday. Anyway, do want to call out a pretty unique situation that happened yesterday on Sunday. Aaron Sabato played second base. Aaron Sabato played second base, which I get a kick out of that regardless. But he hasn't played anywhere but first base in his entire pro career. But I remember a story. I can't remember what broadcast, if this was all the way back in Cedar Rapids or if it was with Wichita. There was a story on one of the broadcasts about how Sabato was taking some pregame shortstop and just insisting to his teammates that if he was asked to play shortstop, he's that good of an athlete that he could. So I think it's hilarious. He got a shot, not shortstop, but he got his chance to show what he could do at second base. Gosh, that is crazy. So now, so we've talked a lot about Fedko. I think Sabato, too. Both those guys, not starters at the start of the year. They had to wait for some promotions, some other things mixing up that Saints lineup, injuries, and really became the 1-2 thump of the Saints. And there was a time Fedko had to fill in a couple times at second base. Now we see Sabato getting at second base. Wild. And you might notice, like, Wallner's the guy who came out. He did suffer a hand injury, but he's supposed to be day-to-day. Gabriel Gonzalez comes off the bench, but he has a heel injury. So they didn't want to, apparently, I'm kind of guessing this was the case. I'm guessing with that heel injury, they didn't want to put him in the outfield and right field to take over for Wallner because they didn't really want him running around a ton. You still have to move around a lot at first, but that's my guess, because the easy move would have been to just put Gonzalez in right and leave everybody as they were. But no, it looks like Gabriel was only available at first base, is what it appears to be. So then you've got and then also should call out the only guy on the bench other than Gabriel Gonzalez available was backup catcher David Banuelos. So the Saints were incredibly shorthanded because Wallner injures his hand. As we mentioned, Gonzalez had a heel injury, so he wasn't in the lineup. Culpepper has that glute injury, so he's not available. And then Fedko's getting promoted, so he's not available. So kind of a crazy situation for Brian Dinkelman to manage yesterday. And he goes with Sabato moving over to second, and then Schobel moving into right field. So, and that was in the fourth inning, you see. So Sabato played a good amount of second base in that game, which is awesome. Love that for him. He's going to be cracking with his teammates about that the whole rest of the season, about how I could get in. He's going to tell Dinkelman. I wonder how many times Brian Dinkelman's going to be asked by Aaron Sabato to play second base again this season. So he's been super fun. I know a lot of the conversation about Aaron Sabato is whether or not he gets a chance, and that's legit. A legit question to ask because he's hitting so well, but regardless, he's just been really fun to follow with the Saints so far this year. Anyway, taking a look at the star scoreboard, which Sabato is on, clinging to that tie for the bottom there with Roden and Olivar, who are both injured. Roden coming back, though, working his way back. But Billy Amick, you saw, didn't really call him out, but he had 2 more honorable mentions this week. So he moved up a couple points and is now in fourth place, moving above Kyler Fedko, by the way. And something that happened as well, Merrick Houston getting some honorable mention love. He and Amick, Merrick Houston and Billy Amick, were the first guys to reach double-digit honorable mentions this year. So those guys really popping up often. But Amick, it's so all or nothing, feast or famine. Like his bad games, his empty games are really empty. Then he has a bunch of good games. So looking for some consistency there from Billy Amick. There is the scoreboard update. Just a reminder, Limestone Pipeline on Patreon, $4 a month. We do offer a 20% discount, I think it is, for an annual. But every Monday, I'm putting out a breakdown of the kind of big performances of the prior week. So that's for free for everybody. So if you go ahead on Patreon and follow Limestone Pipeline for free even, which is an option, you don't have to be a paid member if you don't want to be. And we do have, there's like usually previews or, we have some free stuff we put out. So check that out. But anyway, thanks for checking this one out. I appreciate you. We'll talk again soon.